Hello everyone. I forgot about my headphones. Up, up. And today is suddenly an English stream because I would like some non-Russian speaking people to come or like be able to watch this or whatever. I'm not sure what I'm doing as usual. Hello, I'm Soft, Irina, Michiu Yokyo, Kirintyu. Hello everyone. Hope you understand English. Okay, so today's plan is for me to tell you about my revision experience, what we did and what we didn't do, and I can summarize my revision experience this year as failure. It's not a catastrophic failure, but quite a bit of failures. Why? Because I have planned quite a bit more. I planned a lot more productions. We were having at least like 3 to 4 things in flight before I went to revision. And basically one of them failed to be ready before the deadline, and it's still not ready. One of them was finished and submitted as a 4K, and 2 others we haven't even started finishing them up before the deadline. And another thing is that I completely failed Shader Showdown this year. I lost the first round. Rightfully so. I wasn't really ready to do anything. I was really sleepy, and my opponent, Nusan, he was just great. I kind of happy that I lost to him because I've got to see his semi-final and final, and they were really pretty. So this is like I don't regret that losing a lot, because if I had won, I would deny him progress, and he wouldn't be able to show us awesome shaders, because what I had a bit of stuff prepared, but I didn't actually have anything good, I'm kind of happy that I lost. Next time I should be like more ready and with more awesome stuff. And this is another thing that I'm not sure when this next time will be, because I don't plan to visit any demo parties this year. I have a really tough plan for the year, and demo parties are not in it. But there may be still releases this year, and maybe a bit of streaming of this stuff. So, one of the things that I didn't completely fail was like 5K compo. 5K compo is like 5 kilometers run, and I managed to complete it without making any stops or like losing my running speed or whatever. I just went through, except one little thing where they have these revision 5K. Yeah, they have this really fun thing somewhere in the middle where they prepare. What's going on with sound? Okay, this is sound. Yeah, they prepared this really beer and this really nasty drink, and like they show give it to your face basically, and you're running, you're like, okay, I want to drink, and then it turns out to be a bad idea that you drank alcohol, like a really strong one. Those 2 guys are like really, they were too far ahead of everyone, and those one look, mom, I'm on the internet. This is Zavi. Hey, say hello to Zavi. We were running most of the time together. Okay, so yeah, turns out like when you drink alcohol then continue running, it's like bad idea. Like my stomach was hurting, but I would do it again. So if I will be running next time this 5K run, I will still, and they have alcohol, I will still do it. Like self mutilation is the thing. Okay, do we have any questions? Because like yeah, chat is empty, and I believe like maybe streaming in English wasn't such a good idea at all. Anyway, maybe some will be see this. I didn't properly announce this stream because who would I announce it to? Like I don't have any really good public presence. Динамо бежит, не знаю про Динамо. Okay, so the single release that we had this year, this revision, was this 4K intro called Past Racer, which is an obvious, like, you know what. And the idea there was to do a really fast Past Racer. And I will show you how it's running in real time. Okay, for some reason you have like 40 frames per second, and I believe I have like 140. Okay. Okay, and it loops because it's in a tool. Hello, Null. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but hello, welcome to the stream, and thank you for the following. So, as I only have this single production, I will tell you about this thing then, and how it's done. As you can see, oh yeah, okay, so one thing that is not really there, this is supposed to be text, and in release version this is actually text. It's somewhere around here, right? Okay, I should close it. Somewhere around here. Yeah, this is basically an intro, and this is really fast production that we made 90% at the party place. It still failed to submit it before like official deadline, and yeah, as usual, things as usual. So in a way that like if you do shaders, if you know how path tracing works, if you know all of these, this is like should be completely obvious how it's done and how it works. And if you've seen my revision 19 shader showdown quarter finals, I think it's called. Yeah, somewhere around the end I am doing these. Okay, it doesn't load. Entertainment, yeah. I really love how they themed this revision, like it is awesome. And for Shader Showdown they had this weekend demo party, which is, I actually been there and I participated in shader live coding compo there. I believe this was the first shader live coding compo. But as always, I'm not really sure. So here's what I was doing there. So you can see that it's kind of looks the same, but but basically I failed to make anything interesting with it in time. I wasn't really able to think at this point, so sorry about that, but not sorry that Newsan got ahead and won the shader showdown in the end. Okay, so what I was trying to say is that let me try explaining, like, if you don't understand how this works, let me try explaining how it works in making it from scratch, basically. Not the entire thing, that there's a lot of sync, and I'm not sure that I won't be able like to do everything, but I will be able to show you how the actual engine works. Thanks, Nolan. Haram. This is Korean, and I don't read Korean. My wife reads Korean, but I really not like. Is it like evoke? What? No, I copied this text. Thought so. Can't read Korean. Okay, this probably is this thing. Okay, maybe I'll like context like to understand. Okay. Anyway. There's a lot more Korean. This would happen. Okay, this is okay. This is getting weird. I'm not sure what's going on there. Okay, so let me try. Greaser1, hello, hello Portugal. Okay, okay, started the shader, my version of shader, GLSL shader, rings or something, GLSL, and start Zomatic from scratch. So, let me try recreating this thing from scratch. I won't limit myself with 25 minutes with the shader showdown. I will do this maybe in an hour, but I can I start timer? Do I have timer? I don't have timer. I had timer. What does this thing do? Timer. Sorry. Yes. Okay, I'm trying to figure out. I had some timer in here that was supposed to be on screen. Set timer txt. Yeah, it's supposed to be able to just write the timer text file. Yeah, it's going, but for some reason I can't see it. Do you see it? Okay, I will reset its transform and move it somewhere here. This should be, yeah, we now have a timer. Great. So yeah, let's just do this for no good reason, just to show you how this works. So usually I'd start with defining a color variable that I will update and set to the real color. Okay, message, Nolan. I swear for the last 15-20 years I have desired to understand and write a plasma effect. Maybe now I've discovered you and your YouTube channel. I have the motivation to do it. That's great if you... I would be really happy to help you with my videos. Or if you have any questions, please ask. I will try to help you with, if I can. English team, yes, hi, hello Tsoding. Okay, so time is running out, but I don't really care, and so I create this color variable. I will update it with real color, and I do like this really cheap gamma correction, and usually at this point I update the screen for it to be black and for me to be able to see things. And what I do then, like depending on the rendering method I choose, but like commonly for on rendering method, I pick up a camera location, which is usually like 0 something and 5, because like z-axis go into the camera. And but for this particular case, I don't really care. I may start at 0 because I have in mind this scene with a tunnel that goes away from the viewer. And I also can create ray direction, which should be normalized, and it's supposed to be like you're supposed to look at. It's supposed to be like pixel dependent, so it looks like we start from a single point, but from this point we look in basically through a screen, right? So we have this screen pixel coordinate dependent array and some kind of z-dress, so it goes away from the camera into the screen, and this is it. And then what we do is because I'm doing the path tracer is the thing where you bounce your ray around the scene a lot. So I have, for example, I have number of samples per pixels that I do. I will start with a real low number like 8, and then I do this is not how I start. I start with something else. I start with bouncing rays. So I start with a single ray, and I bounce it around the scene a few times, like 4 times is usually okay, enough for things. And here what I do is I must define few things that I will need later in these functions. Basically, I will need position that we hit. I will need normal of the point that we hit, geometry normal. I will need do I need something? Yeah, for this thing I also needed like local UV coordinates, local 2D space coordinates, like texture coordinates on the planes that I have. And I start with defining an X-plane. So for my ray to hit the next plane, it needs to be so. This is just a common variable like ray traveling distance. And for me to hit like this plane, that is like from your point of view, it's here. I need to be able to hit it, so the x should be like it's a positive x. It should be more than 0. And for that, if it's more than 0, I can then assign L to this particular thing. Okay, so I need another thing which is like width of my walls. So how far away from X from origin it is. So, and the distance there is basically this position of the wall minus point the ray already has divided by the x component of the ray vector, and this is the distance that ray might travel to hit this wall. And normal of this wall is just minus 1x, and all other components are 0 because like this is this vector. And then position that we hit is obviously this, so the ray traveled this L direction. Yeah, it should be obvious. And UV coordinate is this P Y Z. So we don't need X coordinate because X coordinate is like position of the wall. And basically the same goes for the as I have tunnel, I construct tunnel making all these walls. For the walls that is positioned at negative x-axis. Hello, Kane. Hi, good dog. Hello. Duke, good Duke. Okay, sorry about that. And this is basically the same, but with the thing that it's minus, so this is negative. This is negative, and if this is positive, it's all negative, and it becomes positive, right? This should be also correct. And then I can assign my color to be as just as a quick test, this UV thing with the 0 blue color and break. And this should give me the something. Something. I can do this to visualize it better. And yeah, as you can see, we have to explain. And I already wasted like 8 minutes of this thing. And the same goes for all the remaining walls, but for different components. So if I need Y, this will be called H, Y, Y, Y. Why am I doing this? X is that. Y, Y, Y. Yeah, and but the different thing is that here I actually should compare that with the ray that I'm already having, so this should be minimum of those. If Ly less than L, then Ly, and this part I should enter everywhere. So this is basically how it works, but I need to define also this H, and I make it 3, so we have a basic tunnel. This is what I think on Shader Showdown I did this really quickly, because like this is simple. This is really simple. And the next thing that I should do is I can start defining my material. So I have ME, which is emissive material, and for I can do this like this. So maybe you will emit this. I also have some kind of albedo here, which is this is not like physically correct in any way, it's just some intuition. So albedo is how material reacts to incoming light and how much of it reflects back as diffuse thing. So it and if here it doesn't really mean like diffuse, it's really just how much light it reflects back. And for like this diffuse specular division, I do this roughness thing, and at this point I won't have it. I will just do this, it will just reflect everything. So for this loop of how many ray reflections we have, we got to this place, and we actually need to update our color with this new. So basically what's going on here, so we hit the geometry, we add to the global color our value, our emissive value. So this is how much this material emits light, and we multiplied by this light transport factor, which is a name that I just have made up at just now. Basically what it means is like how much light reaches the camera at this point, and we start with 1. Basically all lights, whenever we start casting ray from a camera standpoint, everything, all light will hit camera. But then when we start casting ray from that hit point, we multiply it by this material albedo, which tells us that all the light that will be coming from that ray will be attenuated by this value, as if like it bounced from this material that absorbed a bit of light. And I have only 12 minutes left. Okay, so I really hope that this you can understand this and it makes sense. If you have any questions, please ask, and I will try to maybe draw some pictures. At this point, and reflected light is just reflect D and normal, and that's it. And this should work. And we get a lot of reflections. Maybe we should do a little bit less bright. And what we also can do is we can start building our color. Blanch slows down, yeah, sure. What I also like started doing is I want to have a grid on this thing because it's pretty. And what I do is I multiply this by 4. I can, like, let me start without doing this. And what I do is I define cell coordinates, which is just floor of our texture coordinates. And after that, what I can do is I can just take what I'm writing, this is not correct. I can do this, and this won't work. Mod UVX floor. Why is this so? That doesn't make any sense. This does not make any sense. So basically I'm trying to do, like, figure out the remainder of division this thing by 2, which should alternate between... Oh, okay, I'm not correct. I need a cell ID, and maybe this, and maybe if I do this, basically 0 light gets reflected. Okay, more like it. And here I have some reflections, and here I can also do this like this, and I also can start, I can make those smaller, and I can start uby plus equal t, and t is not defined. I must define t if t is f global time. I really wish that if you've seen my shader showdown, what was the word? Basically, if you've seen me doing the shader showdown thing, you've seen that I do a lot of these redefinition of t to f global time and functions to sample those textures, and this is like really tedious. I should maybe submit a issue for that, because I believe this would be beneficial for everyone to have something predefined. Hello, Maru Infantry. Cole haircut. Yeah, my haircut is Cole. And yeah, when I added time, it started moving. I can move it in another direction, and I can probably start doing some music. For me to synchronize to at some point. Where's my okay, started to appear. Okay, great. Okay, I will get to synchronize that to music in a bit, but now let's build the actual path tracing framework. So at this point I need to start path tracing this, and maybe music. Is music too loud? Tell me if it's too loud. So how path tracing, like naive path tracing that I do works is I start with maybe I should move timer above. Let me put timer here. Audio less. Okay, thanks. Volume okay. Thank you. So at this point, so we have glossy reflections. So basically, ray reflects from the scene into the this reflection rule. How it's called, I'm not sure. But for this to be really path traced, I need to start reflecting ray into random directions to sample all the incoming lights from all the directions, like estimate light coming from all directions. And for that I need a noise function, which is also like would be really helpful if we had that already implemented here. And what I do usually is there's this fract function that everyone does, and here's some random coefficient. I just type some random numbers here, and I also need to make a two-dimensional thing for this, which is basically reusing this one but with this dot v mapping from some vector space. Again, some just random numbers, have no idea what this will look like. And now I need to check that this actually makes sense. Back4 #2 uv and return. We have some weird artifacts here, so maybe I should tweak my numbers a bit. Yeah, this looks better. This looks bad. Yeah, this looks okay-ish. Maybe this will work. So this is just a quick test for me to not trying to remember those coefficients. I just type something down and tweak it until it looks okay. And I also need here some kind of seed, starting from T, for example. And here I have this roughness thing, and I can start doing analyze, mix. So how this works is I choose between like this ideal reflection, if the material is glossy and only reflects ray incoming at certain angle, and if it's not, it should be this random vector. So basically it's a linear interpolation between strict reflection and this all directions reflection. And here what I do is I just update seed and take a lot of random numbers for all the maybe this shouldn't be, this shouldn't be P, right? Or C plus equal. Привет, mod. So yeah, this again, this will give numbers from 0 to 1, and I multiply them by 2 and -1. So this will give me a ray, random ray in like all directions. And the interpolation between these vectors is roughness, and we should have something. Yeah, it's noisy. The noise is bad. Okay. Okay, and here's the point where I really want to make more samples per ray. Not yet. Let's do one more thing. We will do this. We will do #2 of cell ID. And we will have this weird structure of different cells having different roughness and reflecting materials a bit different, reflecting a bit differently. And another thing, is that we can actually do this here. So basically do this seed plus I'm not sure for T. Time went away, right? So time has oh no, you have 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute. So this is basically where I ended up with a shader showdown thing. Let's add some samples per pixel. We will do like 8. Float I from 0 to wrap all this thing up to here. Here we do this, and also divide by the number of samples. we have a much nicer picture. So you see, like, this weird noise went away almost completely. And now we can tune material a bit, and we have 3, 2, 1, yay! And I lost. Okay, I will restart timer. GG, yeah, well played. I don't believe I need this anymore. But this is not the end. Like, for the 4K intro, there's still a lot of stuff to do. And also, like, for 4K intro, I had this really streamlined into function, separate function that does all of this stuff. I won't do that right now because it's not really pretty. It's like a small vector puzzle, but I don't want to do this right now. Clear the code of research. Yeah. I have kind of limited time. Maybe I will stream for another half an hour and I will have to go, but this is basically I will try to finish as many effects from 4K intro as I can in this time frame. So yeah, what other thing that I had? Can make it reflect a little bit more light, and also have it like this. Okay, I'm modifying the wrong thing, so this should be like this. This should be this. Roughness should be modulated a bit. Фильтрация в центре будет. Center, filtering center. So this is basically DOF, depth of field effect. I will get to that real soon. So we have something like this already. Yeah, okay. So can move a bit faster. What we also can do is we can start rotating. Oh, rotation is not that interesting, but the depth of field effect is actually, yeah. So let's do the depth of field effect. How it's done. So you imagine, let me stop the... if I stop the timer, it will start from scratch. Okay, I will explain why while it's running. Okay. So how it works? My implementation of depth of field, have no idea whether that like physically correct. So basically the idea is that you have some lens, so you have your like sensor, you have your scene somewhere, and like for each pixel on the sensor, you actually receive rays from all the directions, from like the entire surface of this lens. And at some distance, like this focal distance, all of these goes into one single point. So the idea is that for each pixel here, you have this model where it receives all the rays that hit this point. They kind of logically start from this lens and go to some point on the focal plane or something like this. So this is just, I came up with this thing like just from remembering 7th grade physics, which I don't remember really well. So maybe this is like completely bogus, not correct, and just a bunch of garbage, but this works. So what I do here is, for this thing, I start with, I imagine that my lens is circular, which is like, maybe it's would be possible to optimize, but I would start with lens angle. So I need to do 2 pi and #1 of z plus equal I. Yeah, this is my angle, and my radius is, I just divide this by whatever. It will be a little bit spirally, but who cares? And then what I do is my origin now is not the center, not the single point. It's now distributed around this thing, but it's still like XY plane. So it is cos LA sine LA 0, and all of this multiplied by LR. Right. And yeah, and I need some parameters to tweak, which is like lens size. Lens size 0.1. Lens focal distance, let's do like 4, why not? And then L, I will call it this LS. Basically, this will mean like how far away we have this. So this point goes to this, and this point goes to this. This pixel. Okay. I hope that is understandable. This kind of FOV, like field of view. So this LR is now LS multiplied by this. Not, this is not correct. This is LS small. And now I have a at point somewhere at the distance, and at point is actually determined by the UV. So it's vec3 UV multiplied by LS, and it's at the focal distance LF. Minus, because it's far in that direction, goes into U. And now to get the direction from that to that, I need to subtract. I have no idea whether that's correct. Somewhat correct, but not really. So yeah, this reverses the direction here. Certainly got a bit blurry, but this is not it. Yeah, something weird is going on. Let me think about it. So this is our at point, UV multiplied by LS. So this is coordinate that we should hit with our ray. And then there's this. You know what? Let me just look at this, how I do this here. Yeah, I have kind of different model here, but it's generally the same. Yeah, it looks correct, but for some reason it's not. Ah, yeah, there was some weird thing about doing the LS thing. Yeah, LS should be multiplied by LF. Right? Codex errors. Yeah, I wonder how my encoding actually. Maybe that is my encoding breaking this thing. It still doesn't work for some reason. This is weird. Why is that? Minus. Yeah, I seem to be doing everything as I done there. But for some reason it doesn't work. I can see some kind of this effect. Let me also remove this T from here. What? Why are you? What? What? Okay, I'm not sure what's going on. Minus звук. Hash sound. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let me try to check. Okay. It's okay now. Sound with noise. Interesting. Okay, let's do another song. I hope that it will be better. Okay, so if I do this, I get nothing. If I do this, I get this thing. If I do this, I get this picture. If I do this, I get this. If I do this, I get this. Okay, it works. Yeah, this now works. I have no idea what was broken, but now it works. It obviously, you can see the effect, so I can just modulate it with time. We use more time, more modulation, more modulation. Not that much modulation. Yeah, something like this. It's not super correct, but looks depth of field enough. It's also possible to modulate the volt, for example. So yeah, basically, that's the idea behind the 4K intro. So you have these planes, you can easily add the Z plane because like by copying this stuff and doing the Z instead of Y. It's possible to run faster. But I see that the CID breaks really soon. Yeah, those are now some nice bad hash function effects. Maybe I can start. Yeah. Tweak random function and get different effect. Another thing that I do here is in the 4K is I can define intra-cell coordinates with 2 CC, which is UV minus CID, I believe. Yeah, this will give or the same. This is a fractional part of UV, and I can multiply it by 2 and subtract 1. This will be give me center coordinates that are centered at the cell center, and I can then multiply it by step 0.7, I believe, length CC on the other way around. 0.7. Yeah, now they are circles. I can also do it like this. Mask the emissive color based on individual components of set. For example, this is X offset this is Y offset this, for example, and it will be slightly not compiling. Yeah, slightly detuned, aberrated color. Something like this. It's also possible to start rotating around a z-axis. So for that we construct RZ matrix, angle A. This is also like what I'm usually doing. C is cosine A, S is sine A, and the matrix is then like, it's really easy to remember the rotation matrices, not like mathematically correct ones, but some matrices that will give you rotation. Basically, if that is a rotation around z-axis, you must have the z-axis in place, so it should be all zeros for z except the last row, which is like 0, 0, 1 or column. I'm still mixing those up. So, and the Other thing is like it starts with cosine, sine, 0, minus sine, cosine, 0, and then 0, 0, 1. And that's the rotational matrix. I might have mixed the sine, cosine, and minus sine, cosine here. So maybe it's minus sine, cosine, cosine, sine. But this doesn't really matter, like for this particular purpose. And here I can start doing things like... one other thing that I can do here, important thing, is I can do time is f global time minus I divided by s divided by 60. And this will give me the motion blur effect. And I also can do this matrix thing. So camera matrix is RZ of t, and O is multiplied by Cm and D is multiplied by Cm also. And now we are rotating, and we can rotate even more violently, and it will go away because time is too much. I will restart this thing now to yeah, so we can do all this crap. Maybe what we should also do is float FFT, base our things on music. So it's texture, text FFT, f divided by texture size, text FFT, 0 MIP level, first component, and this function. So that's what I was talking about. I really want these to be functions, so I don't have to type them each time. Yeah, motion, like, it's really straightforward, right? So I just modulate in time based on my sample. I can add more samples. I believe you should. Slater USA, thank you for following. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I can add more samples, and now it's super slow. No, it's not that slow as you see. For me, it's like around 50 maybe frames per second, but still rather unpleasant. And now it's for you 30 frames per second. For me, it's like more than 60, I believe. Yeah, I will do slightly. Coding Monkey, hello. Помедленнее сделаю сейчас. What I can do here is now I can modulate this beta music tab, FFT integrated of this frequency. I really need some music that is more faster? How should I say it? Well, let me try to find something. I don't have anything. This is a nice track, but what with quality? What quality? There is no quality. palm? No, this doesn't look. Yeah, this, maybe this. Sorry about the motion sickness. And time has run out, right? I'm not sure how long ago that was. For some reason you can't see the motion blur. Ah, okay, you can see the motion blur because now this movement is based on the FFTI, and now I should modulate that with something. Yeah, it's kind of more complex. Mod asks that часто отрисовал скачать шейдер, вызывающего просто текстуру so whether I'm sampling the previous frame of this thing as a texture? No, actually each frame is a thing that is completely different from previous, so it doesn't use previous frame, it's just pixel color based on time. And yeah, time and coordinate of the pixel. I can add a little bit more color, I believe. As always, I'm not sure what I'm doing. I just like to play with things. This is so much fun, I don't want to go anywhere. yeah, this should be seed y, and this should be seed x divided by something like 8 or no? Hmm. Um. So yeah, it's possible to do this all day. Okay, last thing that I want to try is this. Have a set. Not so fast. A little bit faster. And also multiply this albedo thing by step 0.9 seed cc x. Yeah, and step 0.9 ccy. Not like that. What is going on? Shouldn't be like this. Ah, yeah, it's in local coordinates. So maybe it should be yeah. Александр Мельников, привет. Sorry for Russian. Иван, давно подписался на стримы, не смотрю, запиши нормальный гайд лучшей практики, почему делаешь именно так это, да. Я обычно объясняю, что я делаю и почему и как. Вот. The question was like, why won't I record explanation what I'm doing, and just I replied that basically that this is what I'm explaining what I'm doing live. So yeah, this is basically it. How it's done. There were a little bit more effects, like with the projection stuff. This is interesting. How should I explain it? I can do this really fast, but the idea is that at some point you have this a point that is projecting rays in all directions, kind of, and it hit walls, and there are like coordinates of the cells of the walls that this hits things, and this is not necessarily your camera position, so camera might be somewhere here, for example. And these things projects circles on the scene, and this is basically the. Let me just stop this. Stop the music. Yeah, this thing. So basically, there's center somewhere here and projection circles all around this scene. I experimented a bit with other type of projections, so I kind of had some small ray marcher inside it, so it could project ray march scene into this on the wall. But it didn't go really well, so I scrapped that. Брой плейлист Стамеска шейдер там. Нет, Стамеска... Это важно не смотреть. Вот это действительно плохо. У меня нету конкретно четко одного видео, которое бы все объясняло. Я потихоньку где-то. К сожалению, у меня нет времени на то, чтобы записывать видео в каком-то формате так, чтобы редактировать, чтобы все было хорошо. Я не всегда стримы успеваю делать. А стрим это просто сел, пошел фигачить. So yeah, the problem is that I don't have the ability to sit down or write. Wow, this is super nice track. Sit down and write a coherent video explaining all this stuff from scratch and in a really good way, concisely focused on the techniques that I'm doing. I don't have time for that, so really sorry, guys. Okay, one last thing that I do, and this is thing that I already experimented with, but I experimented with it after the party. And this thing is, you will see, a little bit surprised. So we start with usual definitions for the ray march scene, and what we do is just sphere, because I don't really care about this, so we also need normal. I really write it down really fast. it, and I need to define this E thing. Yeah, this works, and now I need to trace it somewhere here. Прости, удачи. And here I have what I have here. I have D. 3. No, why with 3? It's D, LT. If D is less than some value, or LT is greater than L, then break. If LT is less than L, the distance that we have already traveled, then we hit the sphere, and so we need to do L is now LT, P is now ODLT, L, N is now WN of this point, and UV is whatever. Don't really care. Maybe that is better. And you're not happy because this should be like this. No function name W. You're kidding. Okay, I have a variable named W. Okay, I need to move my sphere somewhere. PZ plus equals 5. That is super slow for some reason. Why is that? Of course, LT plus equals D. Forgot the crucial thing. Yeah, we now have a sphere. Let's make it a bit smaller. It already gives a nice effect, but this is not what I want to do with it. Slightly larger. Now I just need to fix the race steps, and now I have a sphere that looks more correct. I really must focus on it. So something like this. Let's make it a little bit more bigger. Bigger. Yeah, something like this. Slightly out of focus, maybe just a bit. Yeah, and what I want to do at this point is I can add this this variable, multiply here by this. Okay, and also like maybe material 0, material 1. And this will be if material is 0. All of this only if material is 0. Yeah, what I need here is another material specific variable, which is material ME I have. MF I will call it. It starts with 0, but for the sphere it will be MF will be 1. MF will be 0.7, 0.5. It will be 0.5, and what it will do, it will... Oh yeah, I forgot another optimization, which is multiplying this by dot dn, which will give me twice as much race, right? Sometimes it's visible, sometimes it's not, but this should be here. And the thing here is if step hash 1 at seed plus equal what t or just seed. If that lets us mf, then we do this, and otherwise we do this. This is a nice track. D is refract. D N MK, and O is P minus N something. Okay. Is this correct? No, it's not correct. If hash seed less than okay, MK. I don't have MK. Less than, more than MF. And undeclared, yeah, because it is undeclared. So yeah, nothing changed though, for some reason. And yeah, now we have a refracting sphere. We can move it more to the center. Be a little bit smaller. And maybe passing everything. How slow is it for you guys? I have like maybe 50 to 60 frames per second. All the effects. Okay. So yeah, these. Something like this. Okay, I think I have to go now. Anyway, this was my revision post-mortem and a bit of shader live coding. Thank you for watching, and I'm not sure well when and how I will see you next time. So thanks for watching, and bye.